Hi, I'm Deb Schultz, and I'm here with Shuli Galili, the Executive Director of the California Israel Chamber of Commerce, and we're here to talk about this year's Israel Web Tour. Shuli, can you tell us a little bit, what is the Israel Web Tour?
Well, Israel Web Tour is the second annual competition where we bring 15 hot Israel startup companies to Silicon Valley to meet with investors, customers, partners, and basically launch their efforts here in the U.S.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about the Israeli tech scene in general? I mean, I think a lot of the folks probably don't know that much about the Israeli technology scene, so a little background is probably helpful.
So Israel has very dynamic technology industry. We all know various sectors such as semiconductors, biotechnology, and software. But there is a huge renaissance in the internet space. A lot of the investments and recent investments in 2007 went into that space. A lot of creativity is going on there, and new startups every day. Probably on an annual basis of 3,000 new startups in Israel, and 2007 seen $1.7 billion investments in the startup industry in Israel. So it's huge, and it's growing. So this is going to be great. And Israel Web Tour is, just the right platform for companies like that, particularly in the Web 2.0 space. And it's a community effort where a lot of people are involved. And you, Deb, it's your second year on the steering committee. As a blogger, social media expert, you've been, a great leader in visioning Israel Web Tour. I'm intrigued on what really attracted you to be involved with this effort.
Well, first of all, I was honored to be asked to be back again for a second year. It's a lot of fun. I get to work with Shuli and the rest of the team. And I'd say, aside from a personal connection that I have to Israel from having lived there over the years, I'm constantly impressed with the depth of innovation, the technology that comes out of Israel, the energy of the startups and the teams, and the velocity of which they can take an idea and make it happen. And obviously, we all know that in today's economy, it's really important to have a vision and be able to execute on it. And there aren't too many areas in social software that I haven't, touched that there isn't an Israeli company or part of the member of that team has lived in Israel or is from Israel. So I find that really interesting, how they're kind of a unique sub-community within the larger community. And this year specifically, there's a lot of interesting companies. Of the 15 companies, there are a number that are all in the, well, actually all of them are in the social software space specifically, from social search to sort of digital life asset management kinds of things, whether it's managing your social networks or managing sort of the media that you might create, gaming, some live video platforms, stuff that might migrate to mobile. So I think it's a really interesting flavor of the breadth and depth of what's coming out of Israel.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I know, it's going to be a fun week. So that said, they're here for a whole week. What are the startups going to be doing during that week?
So yeah, it's very intense, very intense agenda for them, and they're coming and landing here. 30 entrepreneurs from Israel on February 4th for a week of meetings. They will be visiting companies such as Google and Facebook and Yahoo, and hear from executives in these companies, have some serious meetings with them. They will also meet executives and people from the investment community, whether it's the venture capital community, to understand how they can raise money here in the U.S. for their companies. Some of the leading key players in the private investment sector here, and angel investors. They will also meet local geeks. They will meet, CEOs of American companies who are currently kind of peer type of companies who could potentially partner with them, can give them advice on, leading a company and starting their efforts in the U.S.
So if folks want to learn more about the 15 companies that are coming over from Israel, how and where can they do that?
Well, they can come see them on February 6th at Microsoft at Microsoft campus in Mountain View. The companies will be presenting there, and there's going to be a really interesting program around that as well. So I encourage people to come. They can also go to our website, blog, israelwebtour.com, where they can find additional information about the whole tour and what it's about, and hopefully join us.
Great, thanks. So again, if you're interested in finding more about the Israel Web Tour, go to the blog at www.israelwebtour.com to buy a ticket to the showcase next Thursday, February 6th. And we're also going to be having a wrap party on Thursday night, so if you're interested in finding out more about that, go to the blog. The details will be there as well. So thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.